Jeff, Liz gets her second foul midway through the second quarter, and despite that, and despite Olivia having two fouls, Virginia Tech doesn't hit a field goal the last 6 minutes of the first half. How were you guys able to do that, especially with Florida State or with Virginia Tech having Kitley in there in the middle like that?
Well, what we tried to do throughout the entire game on every made basket was to try to disrupt their flow of offense, and we did a really good job of doubling the point guard, making him throw back to the four. She'd bring it across half court, and then get it to where they've only got 18, 19 seconds to run an offense to get into something. So now you're only having to really guard for 3 or 4 passes after that. So I thought we did an excellent job of that. And then it's just hard. I mean, we scrambled tonight. We scrambled defensively like we have in the past, and we've got to get back to it. When we played Michigan here at home, Kentucky, and at UConn, different. Like you got to scramble. We're a really good basketball team, but I've said it. I do think we are a good enough team to get to the Final Four, but we're also good enough to get beat in the second round here. And it's a fine line. It's a fine line because once you get to the second round, it's the top 32 teams in the country, and there's not a bunch of the disparity among them. So we know that when we play together as one and play for each other, we're pretty darn good. So that's what we did tonight, and it was fun to watch.
Jeff, Emily was in here a little while ago and said it was about 80-20 that she's leaving. Can you persuade her?
Well, I'm going to persuade the 80. No, listen, 80-20, I don't know what she do. She's going to have the opportunity to be I think, a top 4 or 5 pick. And if you've got that opportunity, I'm going to tell her to go. I'd love for her to come back. I mean, she does some amazing things out here on the court that I can't teach. But if she's got that opportunity, now we're going to make some phone calls. We're going to sit here and make sure that all of them know exactly where they stand. Because, see, they all look at the board at these mock drafts, and they're never even close. I mean, I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, Jasmine Jones and Kylie Shook weren't even on the board of the mock draft. And Jazz goes as the last pick in the first round, and Kylie, as she's on the phone congratulating Jazz, and then Jazz goes, "You were just drafted." And she goes, "I was?" I mean, so people, they sometimes aren't even close to being accurate. So we try to do our best as coaches to make phone calls around to teams and GMs and find out, okay, are they going to get drafted? Where do you think they're going to get drafted? And, of course, they don't tell you exactly because trades happen at the last minute and different things, but it gives us an idea. And if she's got a chance to be that high, then I'm probably going to tell her, go. If not, would love to have her come back.
Jeff, you mentioned the press to disrupt Virginia Tech. Chelsea Hall only had 2 steals, but it seemed like she forced a couple more turnovers, even more than that. Just kind of talk about her game at the head of that press and how much she influences what you guys do defensively.
I thought she did a really good job today of picking up the ball early, disrupting things. And you're right, she only comes up with 2 steals, but I thought she had her hand on a lot that led to their offense having to start out higher. They couldn't get into a flow. And then what we've got to get better on is we've got to go to work here of guarding one-on-one because everybody's just putting their head down and driving it at us. And we've got to stop fouling, and then we've got to stop backing up. We backpedal until we're basically underneath the basket, and then it's hard to not give up a layup or not foul. So if we can get that fixed, then it's going to be exciting because for them to go 18 to 26 at the free throw line is unacceptable because what they like to do is shoot the 3, and we did a great job defending the 3-point line.
Jeff, in the back, your 3 seniors today, all transfers, the positive experiences they've had here and what they've seen, how much of a benefit is that to you to sell this place to others moving down the line?
Well, just for them to share their stories. It's what it's all about. I mean, I've said it from day one. I'm not the easiest to play for. And what I mean by that is like when Kiana Smith transferred here, she told me her goal was to play professionally. So when she tells me that, then I'm like, no, I'm going to hold you to that standard because we've had enough come through here who have gone on to play professionally. So I know what it looks like. You know, when you've had to stay up all night and study for an exam and we got practice the next day, the ones that have gone on to play professionally don't ever come in and use that as an excuse. Say, oh, I'm tired. I can't give you a great effort today. So we hold them to a high standard. And at times, they don't always like me for it. I mean, it's called parenting. You know, my own kids don't like me all the time. But I think their overall experience that they have here, they know that we're trying to push them to be the best they can be, both on the court and off the court. And then, you know, what I learned from Paul Sandiford when I worked with Paul at Western Kentucky and Nebraska is you can coach them hard if they know you care about them. And that's exactly what I do. I mean, I make sure that they know that I'm here for them off the court. And the decisions we make aren't just about us winning basketball games. It's about what's best for them. And hopefully they can share those stories with others when they move on.
Jeff, today was the pink game. I know this is a big deal for you guys every single year. Just how important was that to get that game rescheduled, and just what does it mean for you and the players to meet some of those survivors before the game?
Well, you know, it was great that we were able to get this game in, you know, and part of the struggle can be, you know, when we sit down at the beginning of the year with our marketing department, you know, we have games, you know, what game is this going to be? What are we going to do? We're just fortunate that we didn't really have anything scheduled. It's normally it's senior night, so you don't try to have a promotion on senior night, but it worked out for us. And then, you know, it's kind of what we talk to our players about. We're playing like Coach Burns says all the time. We're playing a kids game. We're out here playing basketball. And what those survivors have gone through is it's nothing that we can even say we understand by just going out here and playing a game of basketball, no matter how tough it is, no matter how heartbreaking it is. It doesn't compare. And we're able to sit down with our players and just talk about that, getting them to realize and understand it's a game. We're playing a game. Now, it's an important game. Now, it's how I feed my family. So it's an important game. There's no question there. But it's not a game of life. You know, at the end of the day, if I get fired here, I can go find something else to do. It's not fighting a battle with cancer. So it was wonderful that we were able to reschedule this. And our players really appreciated it, too, because it's important to them.
Last year with the COVID capacity restrictions, and at the beginning of the year, we had pretty good turnouts, but the fans wasn't turnouts like it was in years past. How is it these last few games when we've been getting 10,000, 11,000 in here, and the atmosphere coming back to the Yum?
Well, it's been great. I mean, we've actually had some pretty good crowds throughout the year. So it's not like we only had 2,000 or 3,000 in here. I think we're top 4 again in the country in attendance, which is what we've done for like the past 8-9 years. But obviously, depending on who you play, also changes the interest from people. We have our diehards, which I love them and I appreciate every single one of them. And then you do have people that will come out when you're playing Duke, who's ranked in the top 25, Virginia Tech, a top 25 team. And then on senior night, on Pink Game, and that's when I tell our kids we have to make sure we're at our best, because when you get someone who maybe hasn't been to a game before, and then they get a chance to see how we played the first 3.5 quarters, they might come back. So for us, it's continuing to grow this fan base one fan at a time.
In terms of just how they responded after that loss in practice and in preparation, and obviously a sharp today, you get 10 steals. You're against a team that doesn't like to turn it over. That's something. But what were your thoughts on just how they responded?
I thought we came out in the first half and really did some good things defensively and offensively. Now, you know, the end of the first half was the same debacle that we had at Carolina, where we're up 15 here, and we foul. We give them 4 points at the free throw line, so now it goes into half. We're up 11 instead of getting it to 17 or 18, and that was the same thing that took place at Carolina. We're up 9, I think, and then we foul back-to-back possessions under a minute, and then we go into half up 5. So we've got to get better at closing out halves and closing out games. But I was pleased with how we came out and competed, because there was a lot on the line for this game today. You know, if you look at seeding implications, all of it. So we could have dropped out of being a top 4 seed if things went the wrong way, and today was a big game for us.
Jeff, you mentioned earlier, just Olivia was in foul trouble, Liz was in foul trouble. You got Marissa in a little bit. Emily played some against Kitley. Just, we've talked about depth all year, but how important was that post depth again today against a player like?
No, it was really important. I mean, I thought picks up two quick fouls. The second foul was a tough one. Then Liz goes in there and battled, and I was really pleased with how she competed. And then she picks up her second foul as well. I mean, and then I thought Marissa did a really nice job for us. You know, she's been practicing well. She's been on our scout team. She helps us every single day in practice. She's normally the other team's best player, which has been helping her. It gives her more reps. And I wasn't concerned about putting her in the game, you know, and I thought she gave us 6 really good minutes.
Jeff, you talked about this being a big game for seeding. Virginia Tech had a chance to really be in the driver's seat for the 2 seed had they won here today. How important is seeding, not just the double bye, but getting a high seed as possible in the conference tournament? Well,
it's really important. I mean, the double bye is the key. I mean, because now you're playing hopefully 3 games Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's really to play 4 games or 5 games. It's tough. I mean, it's not very often you see a tournament champion coming from some of this had to play 4 or 5 games. So it was really, really big for us. And it gives us also an extra day of rest after Sunday's game at Duke. Now you come back, you can take Monday, Tuesday off if you want, practice Wednesday, Thursday, play on Friday.
You talked about how little margin there is among the top 32. Where do you think you are right now in terms of the national picture, and how are you improving?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say we're in the top 8, top 9, and that I'm not saying we're 9th, and I'm not saying we're 1st, but we're in that group. But again, our game's getting better. Our game. More players are going to different schools, and not all the good ones just to one. So now you're seeing a little bit more parity within our game. And we've got to continue to work at the defensive end of the floor. For us to be good, for us to really continue to climb, we've got to be a team that can follow a scout. We did not follow a scout at North Carolina at all. It was probably the worst we've had. And we still have a chance to win the game. So I think it was a learning lesson for our kids. We take pride on, if you go right and shoot, we're not going to let you go right and shoot. If you go left and make it, more power to you. Our goal today was to make Amore take it off the bounce. Instead of getting catch and shoot threes, make her put it on the ground. And if she makes a pull-up, you tip your hat to her and say, nice shot. And it was with all of them. We did not want to give up the 3, and I thought we followed that game plan really, really well. And it's what you have to do. So if we can continue to work on that, and then offensively, we've just got to continue to get sharper, just to make sure we're efficient with the basketball. We only ended up with 9 turnovers, but we only had 7 assists. So it was more off the bounce today instead of off the pass. But I mean, I like where we are, And it's just it's gonna be a grind. I mean, it gets fun once you get into the ACC tournament, especially the NCAA tournament, because then it's one and you're done. But you get 1 day to prep in between your first and second round game. Then if you can get to the Sweet 16, then possibly the Elite 8, and then that's really where it gets fun for us as coaches, because you can start putting a game plan together and try to strategize. It becomes a little chess with people.
How did you not follow the scout at North Carolina?
Oh, we let drivers drive. We let shooters shoot. I mean, we give up 2 threes to start within the first 4 minutes of the game and ran straight into screens. We were supposed to caboose them, and which we call caboose, follow them off the screen and make them catch and drive it. We went under the screen. We give up a catch and shoot 3, things like that. I'm telling you, we take a lot of pride. If you're going to beat us, you're not going to beat us doing what you do well. You know, if you're a driver, we want to make you shoot 3s. If you're a 3-point shooter, we want to make you drive it. If you like to always turn over your left shoulder in the post, we want to make you turn over your right shoulder. And it's a class. I tell people all the time. I mean, a lot of people that come to the games, I think, sometimes don't realize what all goes into it. I mean, we're sitting there, we're breaking this film down, and I'm telling you, we'll sit there and they will know when they drive right, 80% of the time is to the basket. When they go left, it's 80% 1-2 pull up. And you have to know it, because that's the difference of winning and losing, to know what players like to do. And we take a lot of pride in that.
Jeff, I think you said you wanted to wait till after the game to talk about what this senior class meant. I saw you get a little emotional during the ceremony. What does this trio mean to the program?
Yeah, you know, Kiana has been here for 3 years, so obviously I've had the opportunity to get to know her really well over these 3 years, and just a remarkable kid. You know, her family's been outstanding. Her dad's a college coach, and I just really appreciate the fact that they let me push her. They let me challenge her, and she's responded. I've told her at the beginning of the year she's got to be able to put the ball on the ground and get to the basket more. And tonight she goes 4 or 5 on driving the ball, which were big buckets for us. So she has been a joy to coach. And then you've got Chelsea and Emily, which is going to be more the norm at times, where it's 1 year. It's not even a year. It's 8 to 9 months, and we're doing the best we can to build a relationship in those 8 or 9 months. And we've been very selective on who we try to get, who we try to take, because you've got to find players that are going to blend in well with what you have. We only graduated 1 senior from a team that went to the Elite 8 last year. And the last thing you want to do is bring in a knucklehead. And then, boy, you're screwed. You know, and I'll be honest, like we talked to our players. When Emily Inksler became available in the portal, the first person I talked to was Casa, because it was directly going to impact her playing time. You know, and Casa was like, I like to win, and I'm tired of guarding her. So I'd rather her be on our team. And that takes some character. You know, it really does, because a lot of players just would rather play 25 minutes, 30 minutes a game and lose than 16 to 18 and win. But we've been able to find some really, really good transfers to fit in with our group, because this is a really good team. I mean, they've been fun to coach. I appreciate y'all. Thank you. Hopefully we'll see y'all back here for the NCAA tournament. I would think.